My friends, I want to tell you something from the heart. The biggest barrier to speaking English is not grammar, not vocabulary, not accent. The biggest barrier is fear. Fear of being laughed at, fear of making mistakes, fear of not being good enough. But let me ask you this, how can you ever learn anything new if you are not ready to stumble a little in the beginning? Think back to when you were a child. Did you learn to walk perfectly on the first try? No. You fell, you stumbled, you got up again, and that's how you learned. Speaking English is no different. Every mistake you make is proof that you are trying, proof that you are moving forward. The world does not belong to those who speak perfect English. It belongs to those who have the courage to speak, no matter how broken their words may sound. The world is waiting for your ideas, your thoughts, your voice, not for your flawless grammar. People respect honesty, confidence, and clarity more than perfection. So stop asking yourself, what if I make a mistake? And start asking, what if I never try? Because the real failure is not in speaking wrong English. It's in staying silent out of fear. Every time you open your mouth, you break your own chains. Every time you speak, you move one step closer to fluency. Remember this, confidence is built, not gifted. You build it by speaking today, again tomorrow, and the day after that. Speak to yourself, speak to your friends, speak to strangers. Don't wait for the perfect moment. The perfect moment is the one when you open your mouth and let your voice be heard. You are capable of much more than you believe. Don't let fear silence you. Use your mistakes as stepping stones. Smile when people correct you. Learn, grow, and keep moving. English is just a language. It should serve you, not scare you. One day, you will look back and laugh at the time you were afraid to speak, and that day will come only if you start speaking today. So speak, my friend. Speak with courage. Speak with confidence. Speak and let the world hear your voice. When it comes to learning English, most people think the hardest part is mastering grammar rules, memorizing vocabulary, or speaking with the right accent. But in reality, the greatest barrier is not any of these things. It's fear. Fear hides inside our hearts, whispering that we are not good enough, that others will laugh at us, that our mistakes will make us look foolish. And because of this fear, so many people stay silent even when they have the ability to express themselves. Fear is powerful because it lives in the mind. Before you even open your mouth, it convinces you that you will fail. It tells you that your English is too weak, your pronunciation is too poor, your sentences are too broken. Fear makes you compare yourself with others and convinces you that you are less than them. But let me tell you something very important. Nobody in this world has ever learned a language without making mistakes. Nobody. The people you see speaking confidently today also went through the same struggles. The only difference is that they didn't allow fear to control them. Think about it. When a child starts speaking, they say words incorrectly, their sentences are incomplete, and their grammar is completely wrong. Yet, nobody laughs at them. Instead, we smile, encourage, and feel proud of every little word they say. Why? Because we know they are learning. So why, as adults, do we suddenly forget this truth? Why do we think we must be perfect before we speak? The truth is, perfection is not possible at the beginning of any journey. Fear tricks us into believing that if we are not perfect, we should not even try. But in reality, the only way to move toward perfection is by trying, failing, and trying again. The problem is not your English, it's your fear. Many learners already know enough words to communicate, they already have the basic grammar to make simple sentences, but when the time comes to speak, fear freezes them. Their heart beats faster, their voice shakes, and their mind goes blank. Not because they don't know, but because they are afraid of how others will react. And that fear keeps them silent. What we need to understand is that fear of judgment is a prison we create for ourselves. You might think people are waiting to laugh at you, but in truth, most people don't care if your English is perfect. They care about what you are trying to say. Imagine if you have an idea that could inspire someone, a story that could move someone, or a question that could help you learn, and yet you keep it locked inside because you are afraid your English is not good enough. Isn't that a bigger loss than making a small mistake in grammar? Fear magnifies small things into big monsters. For example, if you pronounce one word incorrectly, fear will scream in your head, "See, everyone noticed, they think you're stupid." But in reality, most people don't even care. Some might not even notice. And even if they do, they forget it in a second. The only person who remembers it for hours, days, or even years is you, because fear keeps replaying it in your mind. This is why so many learners get stuck. They let one small mistake stop them from trying again. Think about opportunities lost because of fear. Maybe you wanted to answer a question in class but stayed silent. Maybe you wanted to speak up in a meeting but kept quiet. Maybe you wanted to talk to someone new but avoided them because you were afraid of saying the wrong word. All these chances were doors opening for you, but fear convinced you not to step through them. And every time you listen to fear, your confidence becomes weaker. Fear doesn't just stop you from speaking, it also steals your energy to learn. When you are afraid, your brain becomes more focused on avoiding mistakes than on expressing yourself. Instead of thinking about what you want to say, you think about what you must not say. This creates stress, and stress blocks learning. That's why so many people say, "I understand English, but I can't speak." The real reason is not lack of knowledge, but the pressure created by fear. The funny thing is, fear is not real. It's not an object you can touch or a wall that actually exists. It's just a thought, an imagination of something that hasn't even happened. Yet this invisible thing can stop you from moving forward. That's the power of fear. But once you recognize it, once you see that the problem is not your English but your fear, you begin to break free. Remember, fear will always try to stop you at the beginning. It will say, "Don't speak, you will embarrass yourself." It will say, "Wait until your English is perfect, then you can talk." But perfection will never come without practice. And practice will never happen if you keep waiting. The cycle continues endlessly until you decide to break it. The only way out is to face the fear, to speak despite the trembling voice, despite the mistakes, despite the judgment, because fear cannot survive action. When people start speaking English, one of the first things they try to do is avoid mistakes. They think, "I should speak perfectly, otherwise I will look foolish." And because of this mindset, they hold themselves back. But let me tell you something that can change the way you see your journey. Mistakes are not your enemy. Mistakes are your teachers. Mistakes are the stepping stones that lead you closer to fluency. Without them, you will never grow. Think about how you learned your first language. When you were a child, you didn't care if your grammar was correct. You didn't care if your pronunciation was perfect. You just spoke whatever words came to your mind. And over time, your family corrected you. Your environment corrected you. And slowly, without even realizing it, you became fluent. Did you ever stop speaking your native language because you made mistakes as a child? No, you kept going. Then why do we stop ourselves when it comes to English? Why do we think we must be flawless from the first day? Every mistake you make in English is proof that you are learning. If you never make mistakes, it simply means you are not challenging yourself enough. Imagine a student who always gives the right answer in class. Does that mean they are learning more? Not necessarily. It might mean they are only answering the easy questions they already know. True learning happens when you step into the unknown, when you take risks, when you try something new, and that's when mistakes naturally appear. But instead of fearing mistakes, start embracing them. Each time you say something wrong, you create an opportunity for correction. And every correction you receive is like a brick that builds the foundation of your confidence. If you never make mistakes, you will never know what you need to improve. Mistakes show you the gaps in your knowledge. They guide you toward progress. They are not signs of failure. They are signs of growth. Think about some of the most successful people in the world. Do you believe they reached success by avoiding mistakes? No, they reached success because they failed, they learned, and they kept moving forward. The same principle applies to English. The more mistakes you make, the faster you will learn. Every wrong word, every incorrect sentence, every awkward pause, it all adds up to experience. And experience is the only path to mastery. The truth is, nobody cares about your mistakes as much as you think. Most people will admire your effort, not criticize your errors. In fact, many people find it inspiring when someone speaks despite their imperfections. It shows courage, it shows determination, and it shows that you value communication more than fear. People respect that. So instead of hiding your mistakes, wear them proudly as a badge of courage. They are proof that you are trying while others are still silent. There's a saying, "Failure is not the opposite of success. It is a part of success." The same way, mistakes are not the opposite of fluency. They are part of fluency. Each time you mispronounce a word and then learn the correct way, You are moving one step forward. Each time you forget a grammar rule but then correct yourself, you are moving forward. Step by step, mistake by mistake, you are building the version of yourself who will one day speak with confidence. Imagine walking on a path made of stones. If you refuse to step on the stones because they look rough, you will never move forward. But if you trust that each stone will hold you, you will eventually cross the path. That's exactly what mistakes are. Stepping stones. Without them, you stand still. With them, you keep moving. Many learners waste years waiting for the perfect moment to speak English. They think, I'll speak when my grammar is better, or I'll try when I know more words. But the truth is, your grammar will only improve by using it. Your vocabulary will only grow by practicing it. If you avoid mistakes, you avoid learning. And by avoiding learning, you avoid progress. It's like wanting to learn swimming but refusing to enter the water because you are afraid of splashing. The best part about mistakes is that they become your memory markers. When you make a mistake and someone corrects you, you remember that correction far longer than something you only studied in a book. That's why mistakes are not just normal, they are necessary. They give you the strongest lessons, the ones that stay with you forever. So instead of saying, I made a mistake, I failed, start saying, I made a mistake, I learned. That small shift in mindset changes everything. You stop running from your errors and start walking on them, step by step, toward fluency. Your mistakes are not stopping you. They are carrying you forward. They are part of your story, part of your journey, part of the success you are building with every word you speak. When people think about speaking English, many believe they must first reach perfection. They think their grammar must be flawless, their accent must sound native, and their vocabulary must be vast before they dare to open their mouths. But the truth is, perfection is not what makes people listen to you. Confidence is. A confident person with broken English will always be heard more than a perfect speaker who is too afraid to use their voice. Imagine someone who speaks English with small mistakes, a foreign accent, or even a limited vocabulary, yet they speak with energy, clarity, and belief in their words. Now imagine another person who has studied grammar for years, memorized thousands of words, but when the time comes to speak, their voice is shaky, their eyes look down, and their words barely come out. Who do you think leaves a stronger impression? It is always the confident one. Because confidence carries weight, it communicates strength, and it allows people to connect with you beyond your language. Confidence has a magic that perfection can never give. When you speak with confidence, people focus on your ideas, not your errors. They hear your message, not your mistakes. Confidence is like light. It makes your words shine even if they are not polished. Perfection, on the other hand, is like a shadow. It hides your voice while you wait endlessly to get it right. The sad truth is, most people who chase perfection never speak at all because they always feel they are not ready. The world is full of examples where people with imperfect English still became powerful communicators. They didn't wait for flawless grammar, they didn't wait to sound like a native speaker. They just believed in what they were saying and delivered it with conviction. People respected them because they were brave enough to share their thoughts, not because they never made a mistake. This shows us that it is not about how correct your English is. It is about how strongly you carry yourself while speaking it. Think about this. When you meet someone who speaks your native language with mistakes, do you laugh at them or do you appreciate that they are trying? Most of the time, you admire their courage because you know how difficult it is to learn another language. The same is true when you speak English. People are not looking for perfection from you. They are looking for confidence, effort, and honesty in communication. That's what leaves an impact. Confidence also changes the way your brain works while speaking. When you are confident, your mind is free to focus on expressing ideas. But when you are obsessed with perfection, your mind is trapped in checking every word, every grammar rule, every pronunciation. You hesitate, you pause, you overthink, and as a result, your communication becomes weak. Confidence frees you. It allows you to make small mistakes and still keep going. And that flow, that energy, is what makes people listen. You must remember that language is not mathematics. It is not about always being right or wrong. Language is about connection. If you can make another person understand your heart, your story, your idea, that is success. Nobody is going to reject your friendship, your business, or your message just because you use the wrong tense. But they might ignore your voice if you never speak up. So which is more important, perfect grammar or confident expression? Confidence is built, not born. Some people think they must wait until confidence appears magically, but it doesn't work like that. Confidence grows only when you practice speaking, when you allow yourself to be heard, when you face situations where you are not fully ready but speak anyway. Every time you do this, your confidence grows stronger and your need for perfection becomes weaker. Think about the moments in life when you admired someone speaking. Was it always because their English was perfect? Or was it because they spoke with passion, energy, and certainty? Most likely, it was their confidence that impressed you. That is proof enough that confidence is the key. People will forgive your mistakes, but they will never forget the way you made them feel with your words. Perfection may make you accurate, but confidence makes you unforgettable. That is why focusing on perfection first is like putting the cart before the horse. You will always feel not ready, but if you build confidence first, your mistakes naturally reduce over time. Confidence creates practice. Practice creates improvement, and improvement slowly leads you closer to fluency. The road to mastery always begins with confidence, not perfection. So every time you hesitate because you are worried about making a mistake, remind yourself, perfection is not required to be understood. Perfection is not required to be respected. Perfection is not required to inspire. Confidence is. Confidence is what gives you the courage to speak today, even if your English is not perfect yet. And that courage is worth far more than flawless grammar written in silence. When it comes to speaking English, many people think the biggest failure is making mistakes. They believe that if they say something wrong, forget a word, or mispronounce something, they have failed. But the truth is the opposite. Speaking incorrectly is not failure. Staying silent because of fear, that is the real failure. Silence is the enemy of progress, and every time you choose silence over speaking, you lock yourself inside a cage that keeps you from moving forward. Think about it. When you make a mistake while speaking, you might feel embarrassed for a moment. But that moment passes, and in return, you gain experience, you learn something new, and you take a step toward fluency. On the other hand, when you stay silent, you avoid embarrassment, yes, but you also avoid learning, you avoid growing, you avoid expressing yourself, and the sad part is, nobody even knows what ideas, thoughts, or feelings you had inside because you never shared them. Silence steals your voice before the world ever gets a chance to hear it. The danger of silence is that it looks safe on the surface. You tell yourself, if I don't speak, I won't make mistakes. Nobody will laugh. Nobody will judge me. And for a short time, that feels comfortable. But comfort is a trap. The more you choose silence, the harder it becomes to speak later. You get used to hiding your voice, and slowly, you start believing the lie that you are not capable of speaking. Silence doesn't just keep you quiet, it kills your confidence from the inside. Every opportunity you avoid is an opportunity lost forever. Maybe you wanted to answer a question in class but kept quiet. Maybe you wanted to share your thoughts in a meeting but stayed silent. Maybe you wanted to introduce yourself to someone but walked away. Each of these moments could have been a chance to practice, to build courage, to connect with someone new. But silence turned those chances into regrets, and regrets pile up much heavier than mistakes. Mistakes can be corrected, but silence cannot. You can learn from a wrong sentence, you can fix a wrong word, but you cannot learn anything from words you never said. Silence leaves you with nothing. That is why it is the true failure, not because it makes you weak, but because it stops you from even trying. Many learners don't realize that fluency is built on thousands of small, imperfect attempts. Nobody suddenly wakes up fluent one day. They get there by speaking, failing, correcting, and trying again. But when you stay silent, you cut yourself off from this process completely. You want to reach the destination without walking the road, and that's impossible. The road to confidence is paved with spoken words, not unspoken thoughts. Silence also robs you of opportunities in life. English is not just a language, it's a bridge to education, jobs, friendships, and global connections. Imagine being in an interview where you know the answer, but you stay silent. Imagine meeting someone who could change your life, but you don't introduce yourself. Imagine being in a classroom where you have ideas to share, but you let the chance pass. Each silence becomes a closed door, not because you didn't know enough, but because you didn't dare to speak. There is also a heavy emotional cost to silence. When you stay quiet again and again, you begin to feel invisible. You watch others speak with confidence, and you tell yourself, They are better than me. I can never do that. Slowly, you start believing that your voice doesn't matter. But the truth is, it does matter. Your voice has power. Your thoughts have value. The only thing standing between you and the world is the silence you've accepted as normal. Remember this. People may forgive your mistakes, but they cannot hear the words you never speak. If you say something wrong, someone might correct you, or maybe nobody will even notice. But if you stay silent, nothing happens. No connection, no learning, no progress. Silence keeps you exactly where you are, stuck in the same place year after year. So every time you are tempted to stay quiet, remind yourself that silence is not protecting you, it is limiting you. The embarrassment of a mistake lasts only a moment, but the regret of silence can last a lifetime. You must choose between temporary discomfort and permanent limitation. Which one will help you grow? Which one will help you become the person you want to be? The answer is clear. Speaking, even imperfectly, will always move you forward. Confidence is not something you are born with. It is not a gift that some people have and others don't. Confidence is built, and the tool that builds it stronger than anything else is practice. The more you practice speaking English, the more natural it becomes. The more natural it feels, the more confident you grow. Confidence does not come before practice. It is created through practice. Many learners make the mistake of waiting for confidence to arrive first. They think, once I feel confident, then I will speak. But the truth is the opposite. You must speak first, and confidence will follow. It is like exercise. You cannot wait to feel strong before you go to the gym. You go to the gym first, and strength comes later. In the same way, you cannot wait for courage before practicing English. You must practice, even with fear, and slowly courage will replace it. Every time you practice speaking, you train your brain and your mouth to work together. At first it feels uncomfortable. Words may come slowly, sentences may sound broken, and pauses may feel long. But with each attempt, your brain begins to adapt. Your thoughts begin to flow more easily into words. Your tongue becomes familiar with sounds that once felt strange. The process is slow at the beginning, but every single practice session builds a layer of confidence that no book or theory can give you. Think of practice like climbing stairs. At the bottom, you might feel small and nervous, but each time you practice, you take one step higher. One conversation adds a step, one reading aloud adds a step, one attempt to explain your thoughts adds another. Day by day, step by step, you rise higher. And when you look back, you realize you are no longer standing where you once were. That's how confidence grows, not in one big jump, but in steady, consistent practice. The beauty of practice is that it doesn't have to be perfect to be powerful. Even practicing for a few minutes a day can create massive change over time. Speaking to yourself in front of a mirror, recording your voice and listening back, joining a conversation group, or simply trying to explain your day in English. These small actions build your confidence brick by brick. Confidence is not built in silence, it is built in action. Another secret about practice is that it kills fear. The first time you try something, you may feel nervous. The second time, a little less. By the 10th time, it feels almost normal. By the 100th time, it feels easy. Fear cannot survive repetition. The more you expose yourself to speaking situations, the weaker your fear becomes. What once terrified you becomes just another part of your life. That transformation only comes through practice. Some people avoid practice because they are afraid of making mistakes. But remember, practice is not about perfection. Practice is about progress. When a child learns to walk, they fall countless times. Each fall is part of their practice, and each fall brings them closer to walking confidently. In the same way, your mistakes during practice are not failures. They are steps forward. Every mistake you make in practice is one less mistake you will make in the future. Practice also makes your confidence unshakable because it gives you experience. Imagine two people. One has studied English rules for years but never practiced speaking. The other has practiced speaking daily for months. When both are put in front of an audience, who will perform better? It will always be the one who practiced. Why? Because practice gives you familiarity. It teaches you how to handle pressure, how to respond when you forget a word, how to keep going even when your sentence isn't perfect. These small experiences add up, and soon you feel ready for any situation. It is important to remember that practice must be consistent. Practicing once in a while is not enough. Just like a muscle becomes weak if you don't use it, your speaking skills also fade if you don't practice regularly. The key is not practicing for long hours once in a while, but practicing a little every day. 10 minutes daily can do more for your confidence than 2 hours once a month. Consistency is what turns effort into results. Practice also helps you build your own rhythm and style in English. When you speak often, you start to find the words and expressions that feel natural to you. You stop worrying about sounding like someone else and begin to sound like yourself. This authenticity makes your confidence even stronger because you are not pretending. You are expressing your true self in another language. And the more you practice, the more opportunities open up for you. Suddenly, you find yourself speaking in places you once avoided. You answer questions in class, you join discussions, you give your opinion in meetings, you introduce yourself to strangers. Each of these real-life moments is practice too, and each one adds another layer to your confidence. One day, without even realizing it, you find yourself speaking with ease in a situation that used to scare you. That is the power of practice. One of the biggest misunderstandings learners have is treating English as something more than it really is. They look at English as a mountain too high to climb, a giant wall blocking their way, or even as a judgment of their intelligence. But the truth is simple. English is just a tool. It is not a measure of your worth. It is not a test of your talent, and it is not something to be afraid of. Just like a pen helps you write, just like a car helps you travel, English is simply a tool that helps you communicate with the world. Fear comes when we give English too much power. Many learners think, if I can't speak English perfectly, I am less smart, less capable, less worthy. That is not true. Language is not intelligence, it is communication. A person who speaks broken English but carries great ideas is far more valuable than someone who speaks perfectly but has nothing to share. What matters is not the polish of your words, but the strength of your thoughts. English is only the bridge that carries your ideas across. Imagine a hammer. If someone doesn't know how to use it properly, it doesn't mean they are weak or foolish. It simply means they haven't practiced enough with that tool. The same is true with English. If you don't use it well yet, it doesn't mean you are less intelligent. It just means you are still learning how to handle the tool. But once you learn, you can build anything you want with it. The tool itself was never the problem. When you start seeing English as a tool, fear begins to disappear, because tools are meant to serve you, not control you. You don't fear your phone, your notebook, or your bicycle. You use them to achieve something bigger. The same way you should not fear English. It is here to serve you, to help you express, to open doors for you. The moment you stop worshiping it and start using it, your confidence will grow naturally. Many learners think English is a kind of test they must pass in order to be accepted by others. They think, if I speak wrong, people will laugh at me. If I don't sound perfect, people won't respect me. But in reality, people respect you for your courage to try. People listen to you for your ideas, not your grammar. Some of the greatest leaders, entrepreneurs, and speakers in the world did not use perfect English, yet their words inspired millions because they treated English as a tool of connection, not as a measure of perfection. Another truth is that English is not the only language in the world. It just happens to be the most widely used. It's a global tool, a common ground where people from different countries can meet and share ideas. But remember, it is not superior to your mother tongue. It doesn't replace who you are. It doesn't erase your identity. It simply adds another way for you to connect with more people. When you treat it like a tool, you stop fearing it as a judge of your personality. Fear of English often comes from comparing yourself to others. You hear someone speaking fluently and think, they are better than me. But think carefully. If English is just a tool, then their fluency only means they are currently using the tool more skillfully. It does not make them more intelligent than you. It does not make them more capable than you. It just means they have practiced more. And practice is something you can also do. The tool is available to you just as much as it is to them. Think about how much power you give away when you let fear control you. You stay silent in a classroom even when you know the answer. You miss out on job opportunities because you are too afraid to speak. You avoid friendships because you are nervous about your English. All of this happens not because English is too hard, but because you allowed it to scare you. You let the tool control you instead of you controlling the tool. But when you flip this mindset, everything changes. You stop seeing English as an enemy and start seeing it as your ally. You realize, I don't have to be perfect, I just have to use it. You begin to speak more freely, experiment with words, and share your ideas without worrying about mistakes. And the more you use the tool, the sharper it becomes. Just like a knife gets sharper, the more it is used, your English becomes smoother and stronger the more you practice using it. The truth is, English is not the goal, it is the vehicle. The real goal is expressing yourself, connecting with people, sharing your ideas, and creating opportunities. If you focus only on the tool, you will feel stuck. But if you focus on the purpose, what you want to achieve with English, you will start using it naturally, without fear. The fear fades when you realize that English is not bigger than you. You are bigger than English because you have something valuable to say, and English is just one way to deliver it. My friends, remember this. English is not your enemy. It is not a wall, and it is not a test of your worth. It is only a tool, a bridge, a key to unlock new doors. Do not let fear silence you. Do not let mistakes discourage you, and do not let perfection hold you back. The only real failure is staying quiet when your voice is needed. Speak today, not tomorrow. Speak with courage, not with fear. Speak with confidence, not with perfection. Because the world is waiting for your ideas, your dreams, your story, and none of that should remain locked inside you. You already have everything you need. Your heart is full of thoughts, your mind is full of creativity, and your voice is full of power. All you need is the courage to let it out. So stand tall, open your mouth, and let the world hear you. Speak your truth, speak your dreams, and speak without fear. Because one day you will look back and realize that the most important step you ever took was the moment you decided to stop being silent and started to let your voice be heard. That is the moment your journey truly begins.